defend yourself. So you have never changed. If you have never changed, you have never been creative. You have never actualized yourself. So the first step to be creative, the first step to actualize our human potentiality is to be open and to do away with any form of defensiveness. And that requires mindfulness. Because mindfulness is not enough. Together with mindfulness, there must be sincerity, honesty. Ask ourselves: do we want to come to higher states? Do we want to transcend dukkha? Do we want to transform ourselves? Do we want to be truly creative? Do we want to actualize our potentiality? Do we want to be Buddha? If so, we cannot deceive ourselves. We have to be honest to ourselves. And to be honest, of course, we have to cultivate awareness. That's why awareness is very, very important. So here you see Roger saying that the person must be open to experience and without being distorted by any process of defensiveness. And then another important fact, important condition in this process of being truly creative and to actualize our potentiality, another, what do you call it? In fact, from Roger said that is the most fundamental condition of creativity. And this is the source or the locus of evaluative judgment is internal. Read it again. He said perhaps the most fundamental condition of creativity is that the source or locus of evaluative judgment is internal. What does it mean to you? To be creative, I can put it this way, is to be truly an individual and not to be conditioned by any external factors. We talk about, for instance, sila. We talk about a certain pattern of behavior. I have quite independently of this kind of expression by modern psychotherapists, I believe that the Buddha's teaching of sila is precisely based on the emphasis that the evaluative judgment is internal. Sila is not a set of rules, a standard imposed on you from outside. You mustn't behave in this way and that way because it is demanded by a system, even demanded by the Buddha, or by Buddhism, or by a tradition, or by a group. You must feel that this is what I want to do. This is my existence. This is me as an individual. This is satisfactory to me. This is meaningful to me to live and to behave in a certain way. The Buddha points out to you a certain guidelines, like the 5 precepts or so many precepts. But these are only guidelines to you. This guideline must not be taken as commandment from outside. It must be within you. You judge yourself whether you want to live like that or not, whether it's meaningful, whether it helps you and others, whether it helps you particularly to grow, to actualize your potentiality. We are using this term in the context of these discussions. If so, you follow that guideline. And you try your best to follow that guideline. So, the ultimate judgment must be internal one, must be within you. Otherwise, a sila has no meaning in Buddhism. Like not killing. Not because Buddhism tells you not to kill. Yes, Buddhism recommends it. But I feel, the moment I feel, I can't, how can I kill? When you can feel like that, and when you realize that if you abstain from killing, it helps you to bring out your compassion, and it helps you to feel the oneness with other beings. It helps you to grow. It reduces your unhappiness, your dukkha, and the dukkha of others. Then you begin to learn not to kill to the extent that you can. Then you feel satisfied, you feel happy, you find fulfillment. And that's what sila is. If we can live every rule recommended by Buddha that way, then we are being truly creative. And in this way, we actualize ourselves. So I quite agree with Roger's statement that he said perhaps the most fundamental condition of creativity is that the source or locus of evaluative judgment is internal, is within yourself. The value of his product is, to continue what he says, for the creative person, established not by the praise or criticism of others. Now this is an individual. If I behave like this, I'm praised by others. If I speak like that, if I defend myself like this, if I put a mask like this, then I'm praised by this culture. What is that culture? Basically Western culture. The education system that I have been. The government system that I have been. The social system that I have been. I fit into it well, then I'm successful. Then I'm praised, I'm respected. I'm a big guy. Unfortunately, this is what people have been conditioned into in the Western system of education. So here, Buddhism would agree with what is expressed by Rogers, that I read it again, for the creative person, the value of his product is for the creative person established not by praise and criticism of others, but by himself. Of course you should criticize yourself. You can even praise yourself. You should praise yourself sometimes. You should be happy about yourself. Rejoice in the good you are doing. But also equally, you must be honest to your shortcomings. But all this must be internal. The judgment must be internal. So it is not to the praise and criticism of others. Notice what it means by being an individual. An individual is emotionally independent of others. But that is not basically that is not the way that Western educational system teaches us. And they talk about adjustment to society, adjustment to norm, But this is not Buddhism. If the Buddha had not been an individual, if he had not internalized his striving and his behavior, in his time, today we wouldn't have Buddhism. He would have conformed to what is expected by the royal tradition. To be a prince, to inherit the father, to be the future king, to be somebody, to be educated, to have a good wife and family, a very stereotype of life, and to be rich, to be educated. Now, these are not just in the time of Buddha, today also. Many young people, they without knowing it, because of the way they are brought up in the Western system of culture, they live their life emanated from themselves. They look at society, what society want me, what my parents want me to, or even if they react to the parents, they forget that they are actually being conditioned by the group, the big group that is a society. Society expects me to be like this, The picture of the educated expects me to be like this. And consciously, unconsciously, you submit yourself. And this is losing your individuality. The Buddha struggle is individual, even to the extent that finally the last five sympathizers of his spiritual friends misunderstood him, but he still stood by himself, his own understanding and insight, that he can continue to struggle as an individual, and finally he succeeded. So that is why I said the Buddha is the true individual, and the Buddha's life is the exemplification of creativity in the spiritual sense. And it's wonderful to see these kind of expressions by modern thinkers like Rogers and others. And they talk about the need to internalize our behavior and not to be dependent on the praise and criticism of others. In other words, I would say to be a true individual, emotionally independent of others. You know what I mean? Most people, most of the time, are emotionally dependent on others, in the sense that if others approve you, praise you, then you are happy. Then you think you are successful. If others are against you, the whole society don't do in the way that you do, and reject you, then you feel there's something wrong in what you're doing. You can't even proceed. You're unhappy. And this is one source of depression. If you are a true individual, will not feel depressed that way. His satisfaction is internal satisfaction by himself, and that's very important. So it is a principle, therefore, of true individuality. And as I said, this is also the principle of sila in the true sense in Buddhism. What it means to live a life that is in accordance with the Dhamma Yu Fa Get. It's not in the sense of conforming to the system, pleasing the Buddhist system, but to feel that the Buddha's teaching is within you, and it is just what you want yourself to happen to yourself, what you want to do yourself, knowing that doing so gives you happiness and gives happiness to others. When one strive and struggle like this, sometimes it can be quite painful because you feel rejected by others. But if you affirm your awareness, you understand what is happening to you, you have the example inspiration of the Buddha, you never lose sight of the Buddha's life example, inspiration, his teaching, then you will not have depression in a way that many people feel today. It's difficulties that you go through, you struggle, but they're not depression for you in the sense of psychological problems in a negative way. So let me read it again. He said, the value of his product is for the creative person established not by the praise and criticism of others but by himself. Have I created something satisfying to me, satisfying to me? If to the person it has a feel of being me in action, it's me doing this. I'm not doing it because my system tells me, my boss tells me, my society tells me, but it's me in action, of being at. So the feel of being me in action, of being an actualization of potentiality in himself. Look, see the same language. Being an actualization of potentialities in myself, which hitherto have not existed and are now emerging into existence. This is actualizing, is coming into, this is unfolding your potentiality. This is coming into higher domains, higher levels. And it's the only way that you come to higher levels of your experiences that you have never even thought of being possible earlier. And hence, in that sense, creative. Then it is satisfying and creative. And no outside evaluation can change that fundamental fact. Let me read it again. I paused. If to the person it has the feel of being me in action, of being an actualization of potentialities in himself, which hitherto have not existed and are now emerging, emerging into existence, then it is satisfying. Then it is creative. To be creative is to come to a new product, if you like. And no outside evaluation can change that fundamental fact. Let me finally read one more passage that similar in tone and perhaps somewhat different phrasing can help us understand what he was trying to say. Here he says like this: perhaps the most fundamental condition of creativity, now pay attention carefully, he said, the most fundamental condition of creativity is that the source, the locus of value judgment is internal. That's what we saw just now. The value of the product is for the creative person, accepted not by the praise or criticism of others, but by himself. We have seen that. I just read on the whole more longer passage. Have I created something satisfying to me? Does it express a part of me, my feelings or my thoughts, my pain? You see, this includes happiness, pain, even frustration, or my ecstasy. These are the only questions which really matter to the creative person or to any person who is being creative. This does not mean that he is oblivious to or unwilling to be aware of the judgment of others, so that you have to be mature and be careful. You see, to be an individual doesn't mean to be egotistical. There are two different things. and to be emotionally independent of others doesn't mean that you need not listen to others. You should not feel happy when others praise you. You should not feel concerned and even unhappy when others criticize you. No, not that either. Huh? This does not mean that he is oblivious to or unwilling to be aware of the judgment of others. It is simply that the basis of evaluation, this is here he is explaining himself a bit more clearly. It is simply that the basis of evaluation lies within himself. That is a fundamental principle. In his own organismic reaction to and appraiser of his product. If to the person it has a feel of being in me, in action, now you see the whole thing coming together, or being an actualization of potentialities in himself which hitherto have not existed and are now emerging into existence, then it is satisfying and creative, and no outside evaluation can change that fundamental fact. I think this is a complete passage. I have split into different part and commented on this, and also just now I read the whole passage, and I think very inspiring passage, thought-provoking, and it gives us an idea of what it means by being creative, and the fact that what are the conditions for being creative. That to be creative means actually to actualize yourself, and this tendency to actualize yourself is not from your education. It's not from any outside instruction, but it's a need, an urge. He says, you have seen that word, within you, within, basic to all of us as a living organism. When we live. When we are living organisms, we cannot help having that urge to want to expand, to want to come to higher states, to be happier. That's how life goes on. And that urge, that fundamental need, whether you call it a need of religion or need to actualize yourself in the words of Rogers and Maslow, is a necessary product of the whole process of evolution. That's why a species can preserve itself. A species can advance because there is a fundamental urge to want to unfold the potentialities of the organism, to come to a better and higher states. Without that urge, there's no evolution. There's no push to go to higher states. In fact, I have said that virtues like compassion, love, kindness, sympathy on the one hand, and so-called vices, unskillful states like even jealousy, anger, sense of rivalry, hatred, all these are actually necessary products of human evolution. If there is no compassion, and if there is no motherly love that is so spontaneous from a mother to the child, then the species cannot survive. Your offspring cannot prosper. And you cannot have mutual cooperative effort to overcome problems as a species. Then there is no further evolution. The species will disappear. Likewise, if there is no ability to recognize your enemies who are threatening you, and those feelings of even jealousy and even hatred anger, then you cannot defend the species. And again, you cannot hope to advance in evolution. So all this, what we come to regard as so-called good virtues and negativities in a human being actually are, to begin with, products of the process of evolution, product of evolution. But to be creative in a spiritual sense is to recognize this fact, first to accept this fact. All these things are within us. That's why we all have kindness, we all have love, we all have sympathy actually. It's a matter of how to bring them out. Likewise, we must recognize that we all have a lot of craving and desires. This is a part of human. If there is no craving desire, then the species cannot even reproduce. We all have anger and hatred. As I said, it's necessary to defend the species. So first is the awareness of this, and then the openness and acceptance, and also openness in the sense that there are, but now to come to embark on the higher process of evolution, which is the creative process, then we must have further awareness, we must have further mindfulness that yes, there are higher states, yes, there are solutions, there are transcendence of this human predicament, of this state of unsatisfactoriness, and yes, we can move higher, and that requires openness also in the sense of faith also. Even the faith in being a Buddha, the faith of realizing the highest of human potential. So it is in this way, with awareness, with openness, and striving to be a true individual, independent of conditionings from your culture, from your education background, from your society, from the whole social system, that we can be creative in a meaningful way, and we can actualize our potentiality, and we can become Buddha. I think even though today I only read 2 or 3 passages from Rogers, and I think we have learned a lot from him, and hopefully if I have time, we'll continue with our examination of his idea and the ideas of other humanistic psychotherapists.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.